Welcome everybody to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. Most of you who are part of this show today are aware of the mission of 1 million by 1 million. It is not just our mission, it is as much your mission. We want to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue by 2020 and beyond, and build $1 trillion in global GDP, help create 10 million jobs. That's the mission of our program. And of course, everything depends on really serious, hardworking entrepreneurs who have the mettle to make it all come together and put in the crazy amounts of work that is necessary for any entrepreneur to succeed. So we salute every entrepreneur who is traveling this path and is taking the risks and executing on missions and visions of their own. And we are delighted to welcome Jacksonville Startup Weekend to co-host this program with us. Jacksonville just hosted their Startup Weekend this past weekend, and MJ Charmani is going to talk to you a little bit about what happened at Jacksonville this weekend. MJ, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Sramana. Thank you for having us today, and appreciate all that you're doing for all of us here in Jacksonville. We had the Jacksonville Startup Weekend. This was our inaugural Startup Weekend in Jacksonville, hosted by iStart Jax Business Accelerator, and partnered with the Indo-US Chamber of Commerce and Jax Chamber here in Jacksonville. 150 people attended the Startup Weekend. We had 40 people on the wait list. We really wanted to keep it 150 to have an effective Startup Weekend. 50-plus ideas were pitched on Friday evening, and they were kind of brought down to 17, which the team felt are more effective to go forward. 17 ideas were worked throughout the 54 hours, and 17 presentations of business plans were presented. We had great speakers and support from the mentors. 20-plus mentors were available, including a Silicon Valley mentor who Skyped in. And also, we had about 300 tweeting community folks join us throughout the 54 hours, 258 to 300 tweets going on throughout 54 hours. Phenomenal work from the Jacksonville attendees, and it was so nice to have this event. And out of 17, we had top 5 winners, and each of the ideas were according to Microsoft Evangelist, who was there, and Colombo Ventures were there. They mentioned that these ideas were much matured when they try to stack up other startup weekends or Jacksonville. This is absolutely. We were so excited to host this, and it was a great success, and there's a lot of media attention. I turn it back to you, Sramana.
Congratulations to MJ and the organizers of Jacksonville Startup Weekend. Sounds like great energy. So we are going to work today with some of these entrepreneurs who have pitched their ideas and worked on their ideas during the past weekend, right, MJ?
Yes, yes.
So let's actually dive right in. By the way, everybody, the roundtable is being recorded. You will have the recording of the roundtable available to share with other people as well as to go over it yourself. Some entrepreneurs like to do that. Now, we also have a Twitter presence, and you will be able to follow 1 million by 1 million. The Twitter handle is @1M by 1M. You can also follow me at Sramana. We have a very, very active Twitter platform. We publish in a microblogging about a couple of hundred tweets a day. If you are live tweeting the show, as we would be, Maureen will be live tweeting, please use the hashtag 1M1M. All right, Eric Keeler is going to talk about Armex Industries first. So Eric, over to you.
All righty. Well, this company started with a pretty simple idea of how do I protect myself from the cold. My family likes to snow ski, and we go every year. Now, my cold tolerance has always been pretty low, so I thought, there's got to be a better way to do this. Why doesn't anyone think of a better way? Then I realized, why wait on somebody else to design it? So I formed Armex Industries with that in mind. I've talked with family and friends alike, like Brigadier General Firth, and it came to my attention that the kind of scale for this technology was enormous. There was literally dozens of professions this could apply to, and it kept expanding. So I focused on just one, with the idea of our target customers are people who need to protect themselves from the heat or cold or just extreme environments in general. And the first market we looked into is actually NASCAR, because they're currently in, I guess, development of reforming all of their current safety standards and specs. Now, there's different types of it. There's sprint, nationwide, and truck events with a total of 107 drivers and 576 crew members. You know, it's a relatively small starting market, but it creates the opportunity as a great stepping stone, a great platform to enter into more expansive markets, such as the firefighter market, where there's almost a million plus employees in that, 300,000 professionals, 750,000 volunteers / part-time. And also the military, where just here in the U.S. alone, there's 1.4 million people as well. Now, if you guys would roll over to the next slide. Our customer acquisition strategy, dealing primarily with NASCAR, targets their driver equipment with the strategy of B2B sales, us going out to the team's individual owners. We'd use current race car driver feedback about their current seats and technology, talking about different flaws within the existing technology, such as lifespan, quality, flexibility, or just some different drawbacks to their current. And we'd highlight features of our own technology, the Zero Suit, in terms of what we could do to improve their current standing. Now, our final push would be talking about, cost benefits. The value proposition of RMX is, ours is 35 races compared to the 8 races their current technology does. You can machine wash it, which is something they haven't been able to currently achieve. Represents greater control, flexibility, greater thermal control, heat resistance at 200, cold resistance to -400. And its cost savings is about 30% on the current team technology.
And what does it take for you to manufacture these? Do you already have the technology? Have you been able to come up with the technology that's going to deliver these values?
Yeah, we actually ran the cost analysis on it. We've got the access to the technology to start production on this sort of thing.
So how do you propose to finance this?
Financing, we're looking out towards finding different investors as a standpoint to gain the necessary startup money.
That is not a likely event, and I'll tell you why. Please, all of you who are listening, and all of you who have freshly come off the Startup Weekend Jacksonville, please make a note of this, and it's going to come up over and over again, I'm sure. Please do not start with the assumption that you can raise money on a PowerPoint. Raising money is a very, very complex affair. And what gets funded, what is quote-unquote fundable, is a very complex set of terms. And by and large, in the world that we are in today, this whole notion of PowerPoint financing or concept financing, so to speak, is just not happening very much anymore. So investors, even people who claim to be angel seed stage investors who are supposed to be doing concept financing, at least it seems like these are the people who should be doing concept financing. They don't necessarily do concept financing. They're all looking to finance businesses that are already up and running. So there is almost like a pre-incubation, pre-financing that will need to happen that is entirely bootstrapped, and that's what you're going to have to figure out how to, bring the pieces of that together.
Okay, as far as the suit itself, we do have a rough functioning prototype that's already out there, so it's no longer just simply a concept. It's actually a developed product. So.
Yes, but a business is not just a concept and a developed product. There's a lot more nuances to it. And the other issue that you're going to face here is that you're going to have to show relatively thorough analysis of how you're going to bring this to market in terms of, given the size of the deals that you're talking about in this NASCAR deals, actually sitting down with every single team member and selling this product, That is just not a profitable way to bring any product to market at this price point. I'm not even asking you what price point you're selling at, but I just know that the deal sizes at which direct selling makes sense is not going to compute here. So my point is there is a variety of different nuances to this particular business plan that you have to work out in excruciating detail before you can actually attract investors. And I think one of the best things would be if you can get, based on your prototype, if you can get one of these customers that you're potentially working with to give you an order and manufacture against that order and figure out how to finance the manufacturing of that order, maybe get an advance of some sort or something so that you actually have paying customers.
Okay.
Paying customers gives you a lot of leg up when it comes to fundability. Okay? So there's a whole lot of other feedback I could give you, but I'm going to have to work with 5 of you in the next hour. So hang on and listen. I think you'll learn more as you, as you talk about, as I talk with other people. But there's, in terms of go-to-market strategy, you have a whole lot of work to do in flushing out the go-to-market strategy pieces. You're going to need to flush out the specifics of the financials and the financing strategy. All of these things need to be worked out in excruciating detail.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Definitely thank you for the feedback.
You're welcome. It's a good idea. You're solving a problem. You just have to build the business kind of block by block, and that applies to all of you who are launching on this path. Okay. All right, Perry, you're next. Paytopitch.com.
Excellent. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. So I'm Perry Kay. We had a wonderful time at the Startup Week in Jacksonville, and this is the idea me and my colleague Vijay came up with. It's called Pay to Pitch. And our slogan is a charitable way to guarantee a meeting without begging or pleading. So can we go to the next slide? The first number that you see at the top is actually the approximate number of businesses that were started in 2009 and 2010. Those are new businesses. The second number, which we got from the Boston Herald, 3,673, is the number of those businesses that receive VC funding. So based on those two numbers, your odds of receiving VC funding is 0.0031. And to show you how small that number is, we included an additional statistic below that, 0.012, which is the chance each of us have of dying in a car accident this upcoming year. So you actually have a 4 times greater chance of being killed than you do of receiving venture funding. And this is a huge problem. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. What we've determined is that success in part depends on access. So unless you get access to capital and mentors and information and resources, your chances of success become minute, basically to the point of being 0. We need a way to give entrepreneurs with ideas easier access to these resources. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Basically, what we're doing is we're letting entrepreneurs gain access to mentors, venture capitalists, and other people that they normally couldn't get access to by putting together a system where the investor will offer some of their time to be available to raise money for charity. But instead of them going to a fancy ball and dressing up like a cowboy, for the few hours that the ball is, and instead of them contributing $10, $20, or $100,000 of their own money, what they're going to do is do what they do best, which is offer a meeting to an entrepreneur if the entrepreneur makes a donation to the charity. So, for example, a typical offer may be if an investor has the March of Dimes that they're interested in raising money for, they'll say, I'm going to give 10, 20-minute spots of my time to meet with entrepreneurs, and I'm offering them for $1,000 each. So if you want to get to meet with me for 20 minutes, you make a contribution of $1,000 to the March of Dimes, and we will meet with you for 20 minutes. Each person wins in this scenario. The time that the venture capitalist or angel investor invests now, instead of them going to events, which not all of them like these events, they're doing what they normally do and they're getting to see a pitch. The entrepreneur is guaranteed time for a set fee, and the charity gets a donation. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so the concept is very simple. We just built a mock-up website. We didn't have time to actually instantiate it in the startup weekend, but we're working on doing that now. So this was just a mock-up of what the page looks like after you throw some things together. Research to date, at the event we actually asked 15 entrepreneurs during the event. It's subsequently, the number's a lot higher now, but pretty much nearly 100% of the people we ask agree that this would be a great way to get a meeting, and they said that they would join and they would be happy to pay a charity to get a meeting. We had one mentor at the show who said that they would be happy to join, but subsequently since then, we've also gotten a venture capitalist to join and several other mentors. So Tony Gaimiel of Coloma Ventures agreed to be one of the people who will support a charity for these meetings. All right, next slide. Our business model is that we're going to charge a service fee for processing this transaction. 100% of the donation to the charity goes to the charity. So when Tony says he wants to have $1,000 contributed to American Heart Association or whichever charity he chooses for the set time, 100% of that money will go to it. The entrepreneur will pay a 10% fee on top of that, so they would pay $1,100 for that opportunity. The breakdown of what we're doing with that money is 2 to 3% will be going towards processing the credit cards that, are funds that we need to do. An additional revenue stream is that we're taking 2 to 3% of the funds, and we're going to use that to form our own fund to ensure that some of the money goes back to the entrepreneurs who are presenting, and we're going to use the balance of that money, which is about 5%, to pay for expenses, salaries, and other things. So it's a very simple model and very transparent.
I've got your concept, and I want you to brace yourself for some negative feedback.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, you're assuming that entrepreneurs are ready and raring to pay. This is a false assumption. Entrepreneurs don't like to pay for anything. And paying $1,000 for 20 minutes is a very bad use of entrepreneurs' money. So if an entrepreneur came and asked me, should I do this, I would say absolutely not. It's a wastage of your money.
Okay, is it okay if I respond?
Sure.
Okay, I fully respect what you're saying. I've actually built several businesses and done things, and as an entrepreneur, I know every penny counts. I also know that it's not free to get a meeting. I mean, there's plane tickets, there's contacts, there's sometimes lawyers to make an introduction, and the cost to do these meetings, while it sometimes is not a direct payment, like you're not hiring a consultant and contacting them, the meetings themselves are never free. So if there was some way to actually bring it about, I think this would be good.
Can I finish giving you feedback, because I need to move on?
Oh, please, yes, please.
So there's another fallacy in your assumption, which is the problem is access. The problem is not necessarily access. There's actually a bigger problem here. There are a couple of videos, actually 3 videos that I want you to look at, which are in the 1M1M Roundtable's video channel, YouTube channel. One is called The Other 99% Entrepreneurs, which speaks to what you're highlighting here, is that over 99% of entrepreneurs who look for financing get rejected. And most of them get rejected because they're not fundable deals. So access is not the problem there. Let's say people spend $1,000 to set up this meeting, they will still get rejected because they're not ready to be in this meeting. And then
that's true. That is true.
So go check those out. And then the third thing, the third video actually, so the second video I want you to point you to, which has relevance to what you're trying to do here, is the notion of what you're trying to create here is some sort of a mentoring network. And mentoring networks largely have failed. And there's a video on why don't mentoring networks work. Check those out, and we can talk more later. For the moment, my time with you is up, but the business you're trying to do may operate at a very small scale. It is not going to scale.
Okay, well, we will see, because we'll give it a try. Crazy ideas sometimes work. So you could be 100% right. I could be 100% right. Time will tell. But I very much appreciate your insight, and I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to speak with you. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. All right, Ziffer, who's presenting? Tim?
Yes, hi, this is Tim Master from Ziffer.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, so Ziffer is basically a new way to deliver discount offers. You can go ahead and go to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So we realize this is a crowded space. However, we see many problems for merchants and users alike in this space. Essentially, merchants are unable to control how many offers are available, when they're available, and basically control that stream such that people with discounts don't come in at their peak usage times. Typically, when I use a Groupon, I go in like Friday night, stuff like that, and they're already crowded. So we want to deliver that capacity management directly into the merchant's hands. Also, we believe users have big problems. Deals tend to expire. They either go unused and they actually lose the money that they spent on that deal, or they rush in at the last minute and it's not very convenient for them. Mm-hmm. So essentially, we want to turn that on its head and allow the merchants to schedule when these deals go out down to the minute, how long they last, how many they put out, and just control it directly. Okay. We also want to change it for the user in such that they don't pay for the offer ahead of time. They go into the merchant, and when they redeem the merchant there, they just get the deal. We get paid when they redeem it at the merchant. So why do this? Just the table restaurant industry alone, market size is huge. It's $195 billion a year. This model applies to any other business that has excess capacity that they would like to fill, so there's huge growth opportunities into other spaces. Our value proposition, again, is turning it on its head, making the process easy to sign up, which is very difficult now with most of the discount merchants, allowing them to directly control it, and then removing that punitive aspect from the user, where the user can basically have something expire and lose money. We can go to the next slide.
So let me ask you a question here before you go to the next slide.
Sure.
You know, the early adopter segment of the restaurant market that would adopt solutions like this have already adopted stuff like OpenTable and Yelp and Groupon. So you have awareness, and because the restaurant industry has been marketed to so much in the recent years, in the last 10, 15 years, by internet companies, there is definitely a segment of the restaurant industry that understands how to use these kinds of solutions. So my question, however, is that what do you need from a solution point of view to be able to, for instance, interface with some of the existing solutions that they're already put in? Like if they already have a reservation system, then how do you do this capacity planning? What do you need on the restaurant end versus on your end to be able to deliver such a solution?
Well, additionally, we had looked at smaller businesses that may not want to directly interface with us if they're a one-off business or whatever. We created a prototype during startup weekend that allowed the merchants to sign up through the website and publish offers directly through there. We developed a prototype iPhone application for the users. I think obviously if we approach larger restaurants, large chains, we would want to integrate with their system. So we develop everything using an API REST base, so we can actually interface through more than just our web client.
Okay.
Okay. So what we looked at, and I'm going to take to heart what you said about the bootstrapping, and we actually already discussed that after the weekend. But we had anticipated a 3-year type rollout for 50 cities or so. What we're looking at now is bootstrapping it here locally in Jacksonville, taking our functional prototype and building our MVP, our minimum viable product, completely out. Getting with the rest of our team members and essentially going around and starting knocking on merchants' doors. And once we have kind of a merchant base, then we also have a social guy. He works at he actually attends school at the University of North Florida. He helped us do our initial user validation on Facebook. So we see approaching the University of North Florida students as our first user base.
Okay.
So this was kind of our big three-year rollout plan. I think it's still very good because at the end of 3 years we only need to capture about 5,300 merchants if they each do 10 offers a day, and those cost $1 a piece to bring people in. That's $53,000 a day. That's about $19.5 million a year. To do that, mostly our cost is on having a direct sales force in each city to go pound on these doors. Basically make a call center, call them up, get the meeting, get on the doors, get them signed up. We're looking at giving them, the first, I don't know, $100 worth of offers for free to get them hooked and see the value. And then getting that, once we have that merchant base, getting it out there on the social media, getting that marketed to users, Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, and get users downloading it and see what's available.
So this business plan is not bootstrappable. You have to adjust this business plan to something that allows you to get to at least enough validation where you can even think about some sort of financing. Right now, the way you have this set up, direct sales force and all that, it's not bootstrappable.
Right. We were considering that we could do it here in Jacksonville ourselves. We had, I think 7 team members. 2 of us were developers, and basically use everyone else to knock on doors, and hopefully to again, like you said, prove out that concept so we could get someone to fund it so we could expand greatly. Yeah,
it's going to take you a while, but just assumptions-wise, all of you need to understand that the bootstrapping phase is not a short, 2-month, 3-month phase. It tends to be when you're actually serious about getting to where you want to get to, no matter what. It can be a very long phase, so you need to brace yourself for that. You need to make sure that your personal situations are all set. 7 people working without pay for an extended period of time tends to run into problems at some point. People will drop out, and people will need to make money and pay their bills and support their families and so forth. So be aware of all of those issues and design a business plan that takes those practicalities into account.
Great, thank you. We can hit the next slide. Yeah. So beyond what we have.
Beyond is irrelevant. Right now, the beyond is irrelevant.
Okay, great. Go to the next slide. So for our customer validation, we actually went out and talked to some merchants here in town. We have video of them. A lot of them thought the idea was unique and being different from the deals that they'd seen before, having more direct control, and they do believe that it would bring them the customers during those slow periods, which is a lot more valuable than the high periods.
I like it a lot, actually. I think the ability to be able to do some level of yield management and use promotions and coupons to do yield management, that is actually quite a compelling idea, but operationally it's going to be very complicated to implement.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our next slide, I believe, is our user validation, where we talked to some students around the campus, and they all liked it and everything.
It's going to take you 6 to 9 months to get those operational details sorted out, validated, and some customers working with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We plan on spending another month or so building out our functional prototype so it's nice and polished. and then start knocking on local merchants around town and try to start building up a user base by giving, or a customer base by giving them, you know, $100 free or whatever at first, and then get it out there on the social media and Facebook, all that kind of stuff for the students.
Okay. All right.
So this is the users we talked to, and they liked it. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Okay, let's see.
This is Rishabh. I think it's my turn to go next.
Okay, go ahead, Rishabh.
So thank you much for doing this. I think, you know, just listening into all the insights, I have my head spinning on what I need to do next on this idea. So I'll jump straight into it. The core of our idea is to make it easy for people to adopt sustainability ideas. And the reason why I say that, there is an awful amount of research to show that we can save the planet tomorrow. All the ideas exist, but there is not enough focus on how to do it, and there's not enough material available for people to adopt on how to do it. So we substantiated that with our own research as well, as we were, you know, trying to make this idea crisp over the weekend. We looked at some research from Burst Media. It said that, you know, 9% of consumers today in the U.S. are claiming to be 100% green. You know, that's a very small number. But as against that, 90% are interested, and 39% want to go online and look for those ideas. Now, out of those 39%, what's the impact of that? If you don't mind, just stay on the previous slide, please. So out of that 39% results in a tune of 83 million searches every month on how to green. It's not the what, it's not the ideas, it's on how can I implement those ideas. So now that's the market we want to tap into. That's the core engine that we want to enable. We want to focus on the how, not the wow, right? So it's a great idea to change an LED bulb, but how do I do it? Which ones do I do? Where do I get it from? You know, is it important to do the entire house? A simple concept like that can be explored. The solutions are out there. They can be crowdsourced, and the government wants to spend millions to educate people and grow the ideas and to provide resources for allowing people to go green. So we took this a bit further. The core engine is an online forum. Can you flip to the next slide? So we mocked it up. You know, we want to crowdsource ideas on an online forum similar to how leading sites like Flyer Talk for travel and Fat Wallet for deals do it. We want to, you know, rate it, rank it, allow social media interaction, and then we also want to localize. Can you move to the next slide? So the localization piece is going to be key because sustainability is unique to every region. If you want to put solar panels on your rooftop, you know, it's going to be different by city, by even county, depending upon the region where you are. Even sunlight is different. So we want to definitely have a local connection to our forum so that you can search for the best ranking ideas by your category locally. Next slide, please. So we thought a bit more about, you know, what the business model could look like and how we could actually monetize this as well, while, you know, adhering to a core idea or core engine of providing sustainability solutions, right? I won't walk through each and every piece of that, but the localization piece actually enables another revenue model or revenue stream. Businesses that are actually looking to sell these products in a region could find this useful. This could be lead generation or click-throughs for the businesses, as well as for them to promote their wares and ideas through this online forum once it gains momentum. There are government grants and community programs that are available to support this, and there's money available in terms of providing education through the Department of Education as well for sustainability. Next slide, please. So we did some customer validation as well, right? Just amongst the 60-odd people that were there over Startup Weekend, in terms of, you know, how many people would be interested, how many people do it today, what do they find, you know, whether they find it easy to do it today or not, right? So, you know, some of the statistics you can look through, but everybody wants to share ideas with the community. You know, there is a natural will to actually do things better and then to become green in the process as well. But most people aren't doing it today because they're not finding resources to do it online. Next slide. So, we've created a funding model. I think just from some of the insights that you've been sharing, Sramana, I think this funding model can be twisted around, but we haven't taken it enough far to see, whether, how much do we have in government grants, et cetera, nor have we started inquiring into what type of forms we'd have to fill up to do this. But we did reach out to local Jacksonville resources, Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, and they seem to be having some funds to, get this kind of thing going, at least within the community here in Jacksonville. Next slide. Next slide. So just in terms of monetization, and one key parameter once the site's up and running, has a substantial user base, and benchmarking it with some of the other sites, which are topic driven. If we are able to monetize just 1% of the 83 million searches every month on how to go green, we're looking at like $50,000 in monthly revenue just from ads. And this is through online product-based ads. There could be additional revenue streams through local merchants and local partnerships, as well as funding through the communities and local chambers. That's all from my side.
How well do you understand? How much knowledge do you have of the web publishing and web advertising, search advertising, all these various nuances, all the models?
We have some, not much, to be frank.
If you're going to do this business, before you go out to raise money, you really need to understand the business, because the people who are monetizing 83 million searches is Google, not you.
Mm-hmm.
So before you can monetize 83 million searches, you're going to have to buy a portion of that 83 million search traffic, so that and bring that onto your site. So there's what you're proposing to do here is a lead arbitrage. So Google is generating the leads. Google is monetizing the leads based on the searches that happen. If you advertise to those, if you do PPC advertising to those leads, you're going to have to pay money to access those kinds of, access that traffic. And then you're going to have to, sell those leads at a premium to other people. That is the business what you're proposing here. This is a business that is happening in other parts of the, other parts of the internet. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
You can go to my blog and look up a case study of a company called Sanjividi.
Mm-hmm.
And Sanjividi does lead generation for solar.
Okay.
They work with manufacturers and contractors and solar people who are looking to put solar on their houses or on their commercial properties. And they do this kind of lead arbitrage, but lead generation effectively. But the key piece that you have to understand in this lead generation is that you're going to have to, the searches are not happening. You have no access to these searches. You have to buy that search traffic. And that is not a cheap process. It's a very expensive process. Right? So there's a... But
even though the searches are happening, what we found was the ineffectiveness of those search results, right? So, the content side of it, which is on acquiring these customers and then having them be sticky to come back to the site again and again and again, that is the opportunity we want to go after, right?
Yeah, so that have to produce content that can harness some of those search results, which falls in the domain of search engine optimization. So you need to understand search engine optimization very thoroughly, because there are other people who are doing search engine optimization for those specific keywords for those topics, and you're going to have to compete with them. Right.
But Sramana, on those sites, just looking at, like making it to the top of the list, and then they're just like content aggregators, but they're not really providing any content value, right?
Not
so they're pulling it, it's not their own content.
Go look at Sanjividi, and you'll see that that's a very compelling competitor in the solar category.
Okay, sure.
And for each category, I think if you want to do this business, first and foremost, do a thorough keyword analysis and search engine optimization analysis of who are your real competitors. Because a lot of it is going to be driven by categories where you can actually do something using search engine optimization and get to some that are, you know, relatively less competitive keywords where you can get somewhere without breaking the bank.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to be too expensive. And by the way, the whole ad-based ad-based monetization of publishing sites, of content sites, this model is in huge trouble right now. Because there is way too much unmonetized ad inventory on the internet at the moment, and the process of selling that inventory to advertisers is another expensive process. You can sell through ad networks, and you get junk CPM effectively.
Right, right. So it's garbage in, garbage out.
What you're proposing to do here needs a tremendous amount of flushing out and due diligence before you can even commit to yourself that you're going to do this business. And that's another point that I want to make to all of you actually in the room today. When you come up with an idea, don't sign off the rest of your life, or at least 5-6 years of your life on that idea right away without doing some of this kind of due diligence and validation of that idea. And I hear several times over, I have validated with the other Startup Weekend members last weekend. That is not adequate validation. You need to go segment by segment. Whatever segment you're going after, you need to do your validation in that segment. You don't randomly validate with just Startup Weekend members. Everybody is in this euphoria of startups. So any idea, any of your peers are going to propose to you, you're going to say, oh yeah, that sounds great, I love that idea. That is not the way to do market validation. Okay?
All right, thank you.
So you have I think you have some good nuggets here. There are proven models of doing lead arbitrage, bringing traffic in from high search volume types of topics and bringing that into other types of destinations, and adding value and generating premium leads for categories that are willing to pay premium pricing for those leads. That is a valid model. We have case studies of that model.
Okay.
But for your category, you need to do the due diligence and craft the business of how exactly this business is going to flow. And you can't make this generic, we're going to do plumbing and solar and this and that. You'll see the whole keyword map of all this is going to get very, very complicated. And you need to understand that keyword map before you can jump into this business.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, Vincent, you're next.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent. So I'm Vincent Laganella, and I'm pitching Be There. The idea behind Be There is we want to put businesses in front of customers that are ready to buy. They have a compelling reason that they can't put off with a purchase price somewhere in the $250 to $1,200 range. I'm a business optimization consultant. I'm currently doing a project for Johnson & Johnson to help them fix a project they've got going on. I've got 4 startups under my belt that I founded myself. I am well capitalized personally, although I'm not a venture capitalist, and I don't venture fund anything myself anymore. I also have 2 startups under my belt founded by New York City money people. There's links you can find out more about me if you're interested. Next slide, please. So here's the concept, is crime is happening every day, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's an unfortunate effect of people living together. In Orlando, Florida, 1.2 million calls were made in both 2010 and 2011 to the 911 system. And the key concept here is that there's some things that a business can't do anything about when crime is happening, but there are other things that have an effect. So the idea is the second responder. First responders are police and fire. They put out the fire, they make it safe. The police get the bad guys out and secure the business or the home. But there's damage that occurs when that happens. It's a broken window. It's a door hanging off the hinge. And there's basic companies, back please, basic companies that can provide these secondary responder services. And if you take a look at all the 1.2 million calls and focus on 4 of them, you can see that there's commercial alarms, breaking and entering calls, theft, and vandalism that have a fixed location that you can go and respond to. Next slide, please.
Now, is this legal? Can you tap into a 911 dispatch feed?
Yes, ma'am. This is an open feed, and let me address that. So this is an actual live feed in Orlando that we're feeding off of right now. We found another open feed in Seattle, and there are aggregators that are collecting this data behind a firewall that you can pay to get at the data, and so they wouldn't be as open and free. I mean, this is a zero-cost lead source right now, and let me kind of break it down for you. Can I get the next slide, please?
I think it's a very interesting idea.
Thank you. If you take a look at this market across the United States, glass repair, locksmith, doors, body shops, alarm companies, total revenue generated by all of these service companies is $37.5 billion a year and employs more than 45,000 people. And the idea is you've got customers that can't put off the purchase decision. Their door is broken. They've got to fix it right now to secure their business permanently. The bad guys are out, but if they don't fix it, more bad guys can come in. So there's an immediate buying need. Next slide, please. So the customers that are running companies like this, obviously it's big, more than 45,000 employees and billions of dollars, more than almost 40 billion in revenue a year. These companies, and we validated this with customers, they're already paying for leads. If they're buying them through a company like ServiceMagic, which is a double qualified lead, they're paying almost 38 bucks a lead. If they're buying it through list buying, which is data that's more than 30 days old, even a double qualified lead is 18 bucks per, 10 bucks for a single qualified lead, and just a bulk, take a crack at it, hope it's good, still $1.50 a lead. But the important point here is this concept is not about changing buying habits of the potential clients. We're just giving them a smarter tool to allow them to use the most current data available. There's literally a 15-minute delay from the time somebody calls the police to the time this lead can appear in your system. And that's what makes this one really, really powerful. It's not just a database or a list or a pray for. It's a pay for that you're already paying for, but it's a smarter tool. Next slide, please.
This is if you can sort out the issue of actually accessing the data, I think this is very compelling.
Thank you. Just to give you some raw survey data that we did, and it wasn't just among, I mean, the one thing I would say about, for the other people who have pitched here, and by the way, team, you guys have done a great job. The one thing I would say is some of these companies, were doing the best they could to gather data on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I know as they build their concepts out, they're going to get better data. So they did the best they could in the time they had. But here's what we got, and this was both real world and among the people participating in the startup weekend. 87.5 saw the value in a mobile solution, not just having it available on the web. And almost 70%, 68.8, would pay a premium for having that mobility concept. And they would be willing to pay for it on a per lead basis, which we've proven in the marketplace already. Next slide, please. So if we take a look at real world data, this is live, this is a business we could get up and running right now. That live feed is available. You can go look at it. There's a link in one of the slides that you can actually go see the feed itself. There's 928 window and door companies in Orlando, Florida. The average company has less than 25 employees, but they have a fleet of trucks and a fleet of salespeople and service people. The salespeople are going out and trying to talk to people who have a broken window or a broken door. And the service people are putting new doors and new windows on their trucks and trying to go there as fast as they can. Combined, we estimate that they're doing about 12,344 jobs a day, and a total market value based on that Orlando feed that's live and available right now, the total market cap is $148 million. If you can get 5% penetration and be generating leads and pushing that to these companies, you're going to be generating 617 leads per day. And if you get an average fee of $25, which the market already proves it has, that's $3,700,000 in revenue. Yep. Now, let me break it down just a little bit. If you think about every 911 call that goes in, there's somebody that's, my boyfriend's doing something bad to me or something like that. There's no business opportunity there. But if you were to break it down, 1.2 million calls per year breaks down to about 136 calls per hour. But if you focus on 4% of those calls, that works down to just 6 leads per hour to a window company or a locksmith company. And even a small mom and pop shop with less than 25 employees can handle 6 leads per hour. As an entrepreneur, I would love I would kill for 6 leads per hour that are live, that would put me in front of customers that are ready to buy. That's why I think this has a lot of power. Next slide, please.
This is very good. Excellent.
So we built this concept, and just to show you this isn't Jacksonville Startup Weekend was actually our second event with this concept. We went down to Tech Venture 2011 in Orlando, Florida, and placed in the top 5. We got an application up and running, and we did it again with a more advanced concept at Jack Startup Weekend. So I want you to imagine, if you would, that you're a dispatcher working at a window and glass company, and you've got 25 people out there in cars that are burning gas, and you want to know where they are, what are they doing, how do I control my company? You've got a service queue, a sales queue, and people that are unassigned. You know where those employees are based on the geolocation of their phone. You know where the calls are coming in based on the 911 feed, which gives you latitude and longitude, and you can send the salesperson to a particular event. So if you look lower right, you could take an unassigned employee and say, go make a sales call at this address. But even better, if we go to the mobile, if we could go to the next one. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is a list of the active queue, and it's kind of small for what we're looking at here, but this is the live feed, and we want to use artificial intelligence and business intelligence to push the most common calls, the ones that generate business, that close deals, push those to the top of the queue. And if you'll click the next slide, the employee can map, where is this in relation to me? Do I know where it is? And then there's a button that's kind of hard to see on the prior slide. They can say, I'm going to grab this. I'm going here. They can self-assign. It takes it out of the queue for the rest of the employees so they know that they can go focus on the next call that comes in, and they're off to the races. So imagine I'm the salesperson. I go to the business. Yes, your door is hanging off the hinges. You need a 100% glass door replacement. It's this item. It costs this much. I'm pulling that right out of my inventory. The installation fee is this much. I'm grabbing drop-down lists, and I place the order. It then appears. Could you go back 3 slides, please?
No, I'm going to give you some feedback. We're running out of time. Vincent, I will give you some feedback. I've got what you're trying to do. I think mostly I know exactly what you're trying to do. The one thing I see here is that you're trying to do 2 businesses. One is the lead generation business, getting data of the 911 feed, and 2 is also then putting the piece together for the scheduling and dispatching and the yield management of that business. And my guidance would be to start with the lead generation business, get the lead generation. The lead generation business actually is a simpler business, and you will develop so much trust with these customers. If you try to sell the whole thing at once, it would be a much lengthier sales cycle. But the lead generation business is very simple. Actually, you know, people can start trying this thing out very quickly, and you will build trust very quickly with the customers. So I would do these as the lead generation business should be your first product, and you should go to market with a minimum viable product as soon as possible, and start generating customers and revenue, and then you can take your time to build the other product, which is going to be a slightly more complicated product, and then you can upsell the customers where you've already got the lead generation business going to that crowd. That's the way I would build this business.
That makes great sense.
Okay. All right. So looks like you guys have all got some very good ideas, and some more advanced in terms of validation than others. Be There, of course, is probably the most flushed out business, and looks like Vincent has been working on it longer than most of you, especially the ones who have just come up with the idea last weekend. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to flush out all the details of it, but the kind of details in which you have to flush things out is very significant. So I'm going to take you through a bit of what we do in 1 million by 1 million and touch some of the points that came up today as broader points in terms of methodology, in terms of assumptions, and so forth. But before I do that, I want to ask you for help with something on our end. 1 million by 1 million is a concept that is completely dependent on you guys, on entrepreneurs. So the only way we can help 1 million entrepreneurs get to $1 million in annual revenue and beyond is if we can find really serious entrepreneurs who are going to stay with the project and execute on the project, weathering all the challenges that are going to come your way, right? One of the problems we have right now in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in the world is that there is an assumption that funding is going to be easy to raise, or you have to raise funding to be successful. These are flawed assumptions. So if you are an entrepreneur who is only going to do this business if you can get money, I would say you think hard whether you can do this business or you want to do this business, because there is a very significant amount of energy that goes into the pre-funding period of building a business, which is where an entrepreneur's mettle gets tested very severely. And then some businesses are just not fundable. They're fine to build as cash businesses, unless you have a sizable total available market opportunity in front of you. Professional investors, institutional investors don't fund those opportunities. If you have a $5 million idea, professional investors are not going to fund that idea. And that's okay. As far as we are concerned, building a $5 million profitable business is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And it will give you lots of options to do other things with the cash that you generate and the experience that you develop and so on and so forth. So as far as 1 million by 1 million is concerned, we have no problem if you want to build a business that may be an unfundable business, but it's not a business that cannot be built. It's a business that you can build with customers, revenues, and profits. And this is something that we harp on, we emphasize over and over again, is please do not forget that entrepreneurship equals customers, revenues, and profits. Financing is optional. And that is the philosophy of 1 million by 1 million. So let me take you through what we do at 1 million by 1 million and how we do our best to help entrepreneurs who work with us. So as I said, the mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond. We have entrepreneurs who have already built $1 million in annual revenue, and they're going beyond that. The site is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. The very basic level of resources is our blog series. And on the blog, you'll find tons of resources, including hundreds of case studies. I referred to some case studies as I was talking to some of you today. All these case studies are actually available for free on my blog. In addition, there's the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, and that is purely a case study-based approach. We have each volume of the Entrepreneur Journeys book series profiles entrepreneurs and how they've crafted their business step by step, block by block, and we are very much into this block by block business building with very thorough analysis. And the reason this analysis is important is because we very often see people making perfectly avoidable mistakes in their journey, and if you just do the right pieces in the right time and just analyze that aspect, whichever aspect you are working on, whichever aspect of that business, if you just don't make some obvious mistakes, you're already better off. That probability that Perry, I think, showed earlier of a minuscule percentage of businesses actually getting funded, there's actually a tremendous amount of research that we have done in figuring out why those numbers are so low. I call that infant entrepreneur mortality. And if you do some things right, that infant entrepreneur mortality rate can be drastically reduced. And one of them is as simple as not beating around the doors of entrepreneurs until you are ready. So even if you are offered a meeting for $1,000 with an investor, don't take it. You need to do the preparation before that meeting is going to be of any value. Otherwise, you're just going to get rejected over and over again. And this is happening en masse in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Entrepreneurs somehow or the other get to investors, but they get rejected because they haven't put the pieces together that would warrant an investment. And in a lot of cases, some businesses are just not fundable. So there's no point going after investors. You need to fund those businesses with other mechanisms. Going after VCs with a business that does not fit the VC model is just not going to help you. So anyway, the Entrepreneur Journeys book series covers a lot of these stuff, and each volume has 12 to 16 case studies along with analysis and synthesis on those topics. And the topics are inspirational and educational. These entrepreneurs their journeys are extremely inspirational and extremely educational. There are two hardcore philosophies of the 1 million by 1 million methodology. That's bootstrapping and positioning. And we have 2 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys, Bootstrapping, Weapon of Mass Reconstruction, and Positioning, How to Test, Validate, and Bring Your Idea to Market. We believe that you have to learn bootstrapping and you have to learn laser-sharp positioning to be able to get anywhere with your business in a cost-effective manner and to have any chance at raising money. So these are just observations from our years of analysis and years of working with entrepreneurs. The blog is at sramanamitra.com. In addition, we have these free strategy roundtables every week. So I know today we had another, I think, 4 or 5 entrepreneurs from last weekend who wanted to pitch. We couldn't accommodate time-wise. There are more slots coming up, and I will put up the whole schedule at the end of this segment. And you can definitely go to the website and sign up for a slot, and I'll be happy to work with you. We've been doing these roundtables for a long time. We've done over 100 roundtables. And thousands of people attend these roundtables from all over the world. Today we have a concentration in Jacksonville, Florida. We have people coming from everywhere, Iceland, Cape Town, Argentina, all over the place. So this has become quite a popular forum. And the beauty of it is free. You can at least start dialoguing and start identifying points and places where you need to put in emphasis and put in work in this free forum. On top of that, we have a premium program. And the premium program is a $1,000 annual membership fee program, and it addresses a lot of the issues that we found in talking to entrepreneurs and working with entrepreneurs where they have gaps. We do extensive methodology guidance using curriculum as well as these kinds of strategy consulting sessions, private strategy consulting sessions. We do a lot of business development work. That means introductions to customers, introductions to channel partners, and we also help with financing. We have access to investors all over the world. We are very strong in Silicon Valley. We have a deep Silicon Valley network, but we work in a lot of other geographies too. India is a very big geography for us. Actually, Florida is turning out to be a fairly large geography. There's a lot of successful activity in Florida amongst 1 million by 1 million premium members. We have very, very interesting businesses coming together in Florida that are following the methodology. So we do address the access issues, whether it's access to companies for doing business development deals or access to financing, access to media, access to analysts, all of that. And we specifically focus a lot on methodology. So one of the pieces of that is our self-assessment. We have a 9-point self-assessment to calibrate any entrepreneur. And you can just go to the site, and there's a button, navigation button called 1M1M Self-Assessment, and go through the questions and start getting a feel for where you need to fine-tune. And if you're a premium member, every single question has curriculum modules attached to them. So, for instance, market sizing is a complex topic. And we don't believe in 30,000 feet hand-waving kind of market sizing. Market sizing requires quite thorough segmentation and very specific positioning before you can get to real numbers that are credible and defensible. So we take you through all of that methodology pieces of really understanding your business at a very, very deep level. You could say that what we do here is almost a McKinsey-style strategy consulting, but whereas McKinsey charges, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually millions of dollars, to large enterprises, which is completely out of the reach of, you know, small businesses, starting out entrepreneurs. We basically democratize management consulting at some level. So all this, your starting point for exploration is 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. You could also look at the top right corner of the site where we have actually premium program, what to expect from the premium program, and premium program FAQs. And just this week, we've added a ton of video messages. So you can find those video messages in that top right corner as well. This is a slightly older screenshot. And those are good starting points for you to start exploring what you can get out of the program. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups, because if you do the capital efficient bootstrapping phase right, and if you do have the model, if your business fits the venture model, then you can actually raise money by following this methodology. But if you don't follow this early bootstrapping stage and try to jump straight into financing, you will pretty much get rejected over and over again. All right. In the curriculum, we cover a set of core topics and then a set of electives. In the core topics, we have bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. Those are the 7 core modules. And by the way, these have been developed based on these numerous coaching sessions that we've done, and the questions that come up over and over again, which we believe are issues that every entrepreneur needs to master. Aside from that, we have these elective modules. And the elective modules are aligned with the trends of our industry today. So we do a lot of work in the web businesses. Web 3.0 and e-commerce is a very big area of our work. Why? Because by 2020, there are going to be 5 billion people on the internet around the world. So the amount of wealth creation, the amount of value creation that's going to happen around the world based on web businesses is tremendous. And we have very core expertise in this area. Another one is cloud computing and business solutions. Another very popular area, we're seeing a lot of activity in cloud computing and business solutions. Outsourcing and consulting continues to be, even though the nuances have changed, it continues to be a popular area. Mobile and social apps, healthcare IT, online education / educational technology, gaming, these are all very popular areas, and we have elective modules on all of them. And those elective modules, the core modules and elective modules comprised of case studies of hundreds of successful entrepreneurs and video lectures synthesizing the lessons from their trenches. Now, what we've done over the last 6 years is actually sat down with hundreds of successful entrepreneurs and captured their cases effectively, and they have been very generous in sharing these strategies and what they've learned with us. So this is the most comprehensive set of case studies on early stage entrepreneurship, very early stage entrepreneurship anywhere in the world. And we focus on technology-enabled services and online businesses. So our emphasis is, for instance, not in big manufacturing or biotech, pharma, and all that stuff. Our expertise is in technology, information technology, and technology-enabled services, and online businesses. As I said, we do a lot of business development work. This is a press coverage from a deal that we did with a company called Persistent Systems, but that is a $200 million company and one of our 1 million by 1 million companies. Here is an article. I have a bunch of syndicated columns, so we give our companies a lot of coverage and also connect dots for them to access more coverage. This is a company that is in the 1 million by 1 million portfolio that was positioned to fill a gap in one of Google's enterprise products, the App Engine product. And this is an article in Read Write Start about that. Here's a Facebook message that an entrepreneur who pitched at one of these free roundtables was writing me on my Facebook page. He said that, Sramana, I wish 1 million by 1 million was available 3 years ago when I had raised a large chunk of angel financing. And because I didn't really know what I was doing, I did a lot of things out of sequence, and I ran out of that money. So today, now that I know of 1 million by 1 million, unfortunately, I have run out of all those resources that I had pulled together earlier on in my career. So it's kind of sad. I was very sad to hear that story, and this is a story, unfortunately, that I've heard several times since, that entrepreneurs run out of money by doing the wrong things in the wrong sequence. Again, infant entrepreneur mortality is something that is part of our agenda to reduce by bringing the right level of education and the right level of incubation at a mass scale in a democratic fashion. So we also work with a lot of incubators. In fact, we are working with incubators in Florida, and iStart is one of our partners. So we're going to be working very closely with MJ and the folks out there who are going to be supporting this ecosystem. MAD Incubator in Malaysia is one of our partners. We're working with an interesting group in Ohio called Jumpstart right now. So there's a variety of incubators. Actually, hundreds of incubators follow our work. We do have an affiliate program. So if you're an incubator listening to this program, we offer a 10% affiliate fee, affiliate commission to all the incubators or all the affiliates who work with us. And here is the roster of the next 7 public roundtables, the free public roundtables. All through February we have roundtables, and we have 3 roundtables in March, in the beginning half of March, and then I'm traveling in India where we're going to be doing in-person roundtables in various cities. So that's the current roster. You can go to the website and sign up for any of these roundtables, and we'd be very happy to work with you. A final book that I haven't talked about is if you're, I see a lot of Indian names in the room. If you're interested in India, in leveraging India, India is very big right now. India is booming, and the opportunities are large. Vision India 2020 is my book on $45 billion business ideas leveraging India. And it's written as if we're sitting in 2020 looking back on building these businesses. So there's a lot of strategy elements that have already been mapped out, and it's written as fiction, as if we have already built these businesses and we're talking about these businesses sitting in 2020. So check this out. It's a very fun, easy reading book, but it's got a ton of really solid ideas, and we have a module in 1 million by 1 million premium that addresses these 1 million by 1 million, these Vision India 2020 ideas. So feel free to steal any of these ideas and morph any of these ideas, and we're very happy to put all our resources behind you so that you can make use of these ideas and develop them. Because I'm doing 1 million by 1 million. I don't have time to do another 45 businesses, and it would be great if some of you pick these ideas up. What you have on your screen is actually a Florida entrepreneur, Dan Stewart. He's doing a company called Happy Grasshopper. Dan has done 4 other businesses before this one, and he has really made great progress. He had started out, when he joined 1 million by 1 million, he was talking about raising money as well. And as he's made progress and generated a lot of revenues, every time I work with him, I'm kind of hearing him push out the idea of raising financing out and out and out because he's seeing success. He has meticulously followed the 1 million by 1 million methodology, and the revenue curve has been fantastic. Anyway, so that's pretty much all I have to say about 1 million by 1 million. Now, whether it's questions about 1M, 1M, or questions about any other business ideas, businesses, topics of interest to your, to your relevant issues that you're dealing with, please feel free to use the public chat. Make sure you set your public chat to send to all participants, and I would be happy to do a little bit of Q&A for the next few minutes before we close up the session. So Go ahead and type out the questions in the public chat, please. You're welcome, Jyoti. Terry is asking, how do you raise small amounts of money too big for family? Well, there's a whole bunch of exchanges that have come about to address that piece of the equation. There's a whole lot of exchanges that are addressing that specific piece. I see a dialogue going on between Perry and Irina, and I'm purposely not jumping in the middle of that dialogue. Jorge Colon, have you worked with anyone in the global or local legal services ecosystem? Can you say a bit more? What are you trying to do? Legal process outsourcing. We don't have any legal process outsourcing company in the 1 million by 1 million premium program right now, but it's an industry that is doing very well. Legal process outsourcing is doing very well. Is that what you're asking, Jorge? Meanwhile, Perry is asking, what is a good deal structure for a small business to work with angels? Typically, if you're under 2 million in pre-money valuation, I would say convertible note is the best deal structure. Jyoti is asking, what advice do you have for starting social entrepreneurship, trying to promote veganism? Well, we are basically interested in helping start and build businesses. So even if it's a social entrepreneurship, we would like to see it structured as a business. So why don't you put your ideas together in the kind of framework that you saw us discussing today, and come and discuss your idea with me, and I'll help you, sort out how to put one foot before the other. That's probably the right way to go. It's hard to give you feedback in such, broad terms. Yeah. So in general, we have a lot of outsourcing businesses in 1 million by 1 million of various flavors. So in general, you're gonna get a lot of coaching on how to build outsourcing businesses. We have case studies there's a company called Rocket Lawyer that has built an interesting business in the legal, internet services for legal work. You can take a look at that case study on my site. It's available for free, just to get some ideas. But there are various nuances of legal process outsourcing that are happening out there. Tim, on bootstrapping, for something like Ziffer, would bootstrapping in Jacksonville and landing several merchants here with actual usage be a good start and then look for fun? Absolutely. Tim, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. You have to get the business and all the mechanics of the business to work in a small scale, and locally would be ideal to do that. Okay, so looks like there are no more questions. People in Florida are networking amongst themselves, setting up lunches in Miami and Jacksonville and Fort Lauderdale and so forth. Well, have fun, guys. MJ, any thoughts on this discussion? We have bootstrapped to working prototypes of our products and can get ourselves a bit further along, but we can't build even a small test market volume without investment capital. But what we are hearing from investors is that they don't do hardware and they don't invest pre-product. This is actually a very common issue. and it's, you know, you're going to have to figure out a way to bootstrap, and there are other bootstrapping techniques that we apply to these kinds of situations. We have actually great case studies of people who have managed to bootstrap very capital-intensive hardware businesses. It's very difficult to do, but it can be done, is all I can say. And we do have those, we teach those case studies in the program as well. Are products dead? Are we all doomed to information or web businesses only? Perry, I think you're raising a very interesting question. I think the answer to that question is the financing and the early stage bootstrapping of the product businesses need to be different. That's the short answer to that question. And no, products are not dead, but what gets financed is not pre-product scenarios. That's kind of the reality of the situation. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Perry. I think I asked for help from all of you, which is to bring us serious entrepreneurs who can be groomed and coached and helped to become successful, and we will put all our resources, including access. Perry, you were talking about access. We do have access, and we make all that access and a lot more available to all the entrepreneurs who work with 1 million by 1 million for $1,000 annual membership fee. There is actually nothing like this anywhere in the world at these price points. So if you want to, if you want to explore more, I would suggest go to 1m1m.sramanamitra.com and start listening to some of the video messages. There are some very interesting video messages that talk to some of the issues. Okay, folks, I'm going to close out the session for today because we all need to get on with our days and do a lot of actual entrepreneurship development work, building our companies kinds of work, and you all need to do that too. Good luck, everybody. It's been a delight to see the energy in Jacksonville, and I hope that you are all going to build on top of the momentum that you've created this past weekend and perhaps through this session. I have another question here. Mark is asking, do you allow group membership, couple business together? No, we don't. We can only work with one business at a time for one membership. But really, if you're, what we try to do is actually train entrepreneurs, right? So you could very well come into the program, and this we are seeing often actually. You could come into the program and learn the methodology, and then you decide that based on that validation methodology, your current idea doesn't work, or you're working with 5 different ideas, and you put all those 5 ideas through the methodology, and you will very quickly figure out which one has the legs, which one has the maximum legs. And that's the one you should put all your energy on. You can't build 5 businesses together. You can't build 2 businesses together either, I think. All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. I look forward to working with more of you in the upcoming sessions. We've shared with you the upcoming sessions, and hopefully you'll go to the website and sign up to pitch in a follow-on session. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sramana.
Bye. Take care.